Welcome to the Fine Print, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Caleb Teskey, and I'm here with Jimmy Darrow from the Mad River Hashish Company in Wastefield, Vermont. Jimmy, thank you for joining me as you blow out that giant bong hit.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going great, man. It's good to finally have you on here.
Can you hear the fan in the background? Do I need to shut it off?
Everything sounds good.
Right on, bro.
Now, you know how we start off all these interviews with a 5-minute life story, man. Would you mind telling us a little bit about your background?
Well, I was born in Portsmouth, Virginia. My parents and stuff and families originally from the upstate New York, Fonda, Fultonville, Gloversville, Amsterdam area. I was raised there to roughly I was maybe 5, and then we moved back to New York. I did the common everyday kid stuff. We chased everybody around the neighborhood, played tag and little league and all that good stuff. I played all stars for a lot of years. And about the time I was 10, we lived in Utica. I got hit by a truck out there and kind of messed me up pretty bad. Traumatic brain injuries, the whole 9 yards, things you live with forever. And then after that, we moved back to the country down around Onion in New York, a place called Garrettsville. I think we lived there till I was about 12 and a half, 13. We moved up here to Vermont. And we've been here ever since. Graduated from Harwood and Moortown. Pretty cool back then. It's a little different now, the way the schools are set up, but we had a lot more free run to speak. Back then, we could pretty much come and go as we wanted. I've been messed up for a while because of the accident, but I'm trying to live through it. I graduated high school, and the funny part about that is my last year of high school was really when I really started smoking weed a lot. About time I was 17 or 18, and I'd never gotten good grades, but that year I got straight A's on a roll. I was like, sweet, I guess I'll keep that going.
So you started smoking weed and your grades improved.
That's what happened. Exactly. It did something to whatever happened to my brain from the accident and woke something up.
Huh.
Shortly after I turned 18 and I don't know what you call it, a settlement trust fund, I guess. So I had a couple buddies. We piled in my truck and said, to hell with it. Let's drive cross country, go to California, visit out there, and hop on a plane to Hawaii for a week.
Oh, hell yeah. We just went to Hawaii in February.
Oh, it must have been awesome.
Oh, it was amazing.
We did Main Island for a few days, and then we went over to Kona. Nice. That was pretty badass over there. I miss it. That was 1985 when things were a lot easier.
Yeah, right.
I mean, for instance, do you think you could fly back on a plane today with 2 pounds of Maui Wowie tucked into your pants, your jean jackets, and your boots by just walking through security? We did that. Nice. We stuffed our friggin' pockets full and we walked right through security. It was a one dude, no dog, standing by a desk. Oh, yep, those are your tickets. See you later. Just got on the plane, and they speak of the Mile High Club for a different reason, but we created our own Mile High Club, pulled the drain plugs out of the bowls in the bathroom and blew our heads down the bowl, sucked them out like a vacuum cleaner.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Damn.
It was a fun time. Like I said, things were a lot easier back then.
So how'd you end up landing in Waitsfield?
Well, my parents, when they moved us up here, my father was opening a farm company. So he investigated like Middlebury first, and then I wanted to play football, and they didn't want me to play football. So when I found out they had football in Middlebury, I was like, all for it. Yay, here we go. So they were like, let's check out some other places, because I knew under the surface, yeah, we don't want him playing football, not with the head injuries he's had. So
yeah, well, that's probably a fair decision on their part,
Right. So he ended up over here in Waitsfield, and I don't know, they liked the house they found, and the community's pretty cool. Everybody's pretty decent to everybody. So
it's a beautiful area over there.
Yeah, 3 ski areas right here. Can't beat it. Mountain biking everywhere, hiking everywhere. do what you want, basically, within reason.
Now, can I back you up a little bit to when you got hit by this truck, man? Because I imagine that was at a time when traumatic brain injuries were not nearly as well understood or studied.
They didn't even have that name back then. It was, what did they call it? Massive head trauma.
Wow.
Is what they called it.
I can see why they rebranded that with a new name. Jesus.
Yeah. I mean, I would go in, I don't know, we went back and forth to the doctors for a while after I got out of the hospital. I mean, I was in the hospital for like two weeks. I woke up out of a coma.
Holy shit, you're in a coma.
Yeah, I died twice on the table in the ER. Then I guess they induced a coma or something. I don't know. But everything in my stomach was pushed into my rib cage. So they basically had to, reach up in there and pull everything down again.
Wow, holy shit, dude. That's insane.
It's pretty nasty.
Wow.
But so yeah, I mean the doctors would just these little Q-tips that are about this long, just a stick and a Q-tip, would just sit there and poke at the back of my head and check the scar and make sure everything was healing. And that was the extent of the doctor's visits that I got after the incident, is making sure my stitches and the incision on my side from them going in there and doing stuff and make sure that was healed. There was never any mention of, what do they call it, rehabilitation, whatever they call that, when you have to go through the rehab type thing.
Sure, yeah.
There wasn't any of that back then. They thought I had a bad attitude.
Oh.
Because I had, I developed bipolar, I have temporal lobe epilepsy. Wow. There's some other trauma, I don't remember what they're called, mixed in. It's a whole umbrella full of crap that goes under the traumatic brain injury canopy. So.
Epilepsy as well, huh?
Yep, traumatic temporal lobe epilepsy. And I've had a brain scan done. Both of my temporal lobes are black in a brain scan.
Wow. So what kind of symptoms does that cause?
I used to have minor seizures, would be just space out seizures, where I would just be like, we're talking back and forth like you and me, and I'm just like that.
That's it, huh?
Pretty much.
Hmm.
I haven't had a seizure in over 12 years after I, started going heavy on the weed.
Really?
Yep.
Wow. So after you got out of the hospital, did they give you any kind of drugs for pain or anything like that? Nothing.
I don't remember what my mom was giving me for anything, really. I was 10 years old. I don't have any memories from anything before 10.
Wow.
After 10, I can piece up together until teenager. I can pretty much remember back then a lot. But everything before 10 is pretty much wiped from my memory. And like things that happened before I was 10, they'll talk about like a family functions. I'll be like, what do you mean? I didn't do none of that crap. Come on. That's not even me. Oh yeah, you did. So,
Wow.
It's kind of weird when they talk about it.
Yeah, that must be a little bit like mystifying or frustrating, maybe.
It's a little freaky and kind of weird.
Yeah.
Like, where's the rest of my book?
Yeah.
Where's the first freaking 12 chapters of the life?
Wow.
So yeah, I'm constantly sitting thinking about that. So
Now, do you take any medications now to help you with your health conditions other than the giant bong?
Just this.
Just that. Nothing else. Wow. Amazing.
Oh, they wanted me to do Ritalin and all that other junk. And I was like, I went and researched the side effects. I'm like, well, my doctor was all for the medical cannabis aspect too. So
Really?
Dr. John Matthews in Plainfield. Good guy if you ever need somebody like that. So
most doctors won't even talk to me about medical cannabis because a lot of them receive federal funding.
If you can get an appointment with him, he will.
Well, I don't really need it at this point.
I'm just saying, he's not open about it.
Okay, cool. Well, that's nice that there are. Go ahead. Sorry,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's nice that there's some doctors in Vermont that are willing to talk to people about that,
Oh, hell yeah. He's part of one of the initiating factors in the medical getting passed in Vermont.
No shit.
Part of that group that got it done.
Okay. I should talk to him then, huh?
I mean, when I first started seeing him, he was putting me on those weed pills.
Oh,
that
like
look
Marinol?
like the fish oil pills, Marinol or something
Yep.
like that,
Yep,
cannabidiol
Marinol.
or something, whatever they call it. So yeah,
Now, let me ask you: have you tried the Marinol? Did you have any results with that stuff?
uh-uh.
No.
There's so little percentage of anything in it. I didn't notice any difference myself. So I said, all right, doc, I'm going back to smoking. It's like, all right. So and he gave me information on how to make Rick Simpson oil and stuff like that. And
Wow. Really?
he actually had that info. He was like, wrote it right down for me. He's like, here you go. The whole friggin' recipe. I was like, damn. I'm like, I'm not much into oil, but I'll take it. Thank you.
What are you into? What's your preferred method of intake?
Oh, I'll smoke flower, do dabs, or what I like to do the most is smoke hash,
Mm.
which I got introduced to that in Hawaii as well.
Oh, nice. Some nice Hawaiian hash. All right.
It was blonde. It was beautiful. It was
Oh,
tasty.
I
I'd
wish I.
always heard about blonde and excuse me, black hash, and I was in high school at then or getting out of high school. I was like, boy, I wish I could try that. And I'd be asking everybody around that we used to get our Sensimilia from and be like, got any hash? What's that? So I got back from Hawaii after having that, and I'm like, well, nobody knows how to do this or whatnot. I'm gonna start doing it.
I want to talk to you about the hash, Jimmy, but I want to back up and maybe talk about the medical program in Vermont here first before we get into
Okay,
that, if that's okay.
that's fine.
Now, so you were a medical patient, is that correct?
Yep, I was for a while. For
And
what,
when you're a
a couple,
medical
2 years.
2 years, okay. So, and when you're a medical patient, you have to select one dispensary in Vermont. Which dispensary did you select?
I selected Vermont Patients Alliance in Montpelier first because it was the closest, and I was there right. You know, I think I was one of their first half a dozen or so people that came in through their doors. They seemed to be all right, nice people and everything, but wasn't happy with what I was having to pay for. That's for sure. Super expensive. I mean, you go in there, if you're going to get an ounce, you might as well bring $600 with you because by the time you pay for your ounce, which is 400 plus, and then the extra taxes and whatnots get tacked on, it's a ridiculous amount of money. And the product was, and I don't want to be judgmental, but I'm gonna put the shoe where the shoe fits. It was terrible. You know,
Wow.
I started growing my own stuff and was getting more benefit off of that than I was getting from what I was picking up from them.
And was this your first foray into growing?
Yep. Yeah.
And
I asked.
did you
Go ahead.
start growing specifically because their product was so mediocre?
That and because I could legally with having the med card.
Okay.
So I set a bunch of plants out on my track out back and took me a few years to get anything worthwhile, but it was still better than what they were getting
Really?
by far. Yeah.
Wow.
And it was costing me pennies to do because I'll haul buckets of water and seeds are fairly cheap back then. So
Hmm.
everything
And
I
so,
what
no, go ahead.
everything I've done up to now, I always use seeds. I don't really I don't have a place to put clones per se. If I was going to do clones to keep them, taking them in and bringing them back and taking them out to keep from shocking too much. So I find the seeds I've been getting and that I use and the way I've learned to do it by referring to YouTube and advice from older people that have done it forever has helped a lot. So I pretty much not don't do too bad at it.
Hmm.
I'm not a pro by any means. I can't calculate nutrient levels and look at the dirt and say, well, you need more of this or that. But I'm getting there.
Hmm. So how long have you been growing now? In the grand
Uh,
scheme.
geez, what is it? That's probably 2010.
Hmm. And in those 12 years, have you been to the dispensary since those 2 years, where you were a patient? Or I guess you can't go if you're not a patient, but do you still have a card?
No,
No. You turned in your medical card.
I just never renewed it. So as soon as it became recreational legal, I said, screw that. I'm not giving the state any more money for stuff that I can do myself and cost me a lot less. I mean, because they charge you for those cards a fee
Yeah,
every
that's right.
year.
It's like $50 or something,
I think
100 bucks.
it's more now. I'm not sure, but such as times. So
And
everything costs more.
yeah, inflation of your medical rights.
And that was I was did that right before I was gonna go over the hill to Brandon to that dispensary and start checking them out, but I never did because right after I made the decision to ultimately do that, you have to fill out paperwork and get reassigned and all that. The legal recreational legal came around, so I said, "Well, the heck with that then."
Hmm.
I'll just continue to do my own thing
Do
and
you
get it.
think it's kind of do you think it's kind of bullshit that you're only allowed to go to one dispensary as a medical patient?
Well, yeah. I mean, if you're a medical patient, it shouldn't matter which dispensary you go to, as long as you've got a legal card and it's up to date and hasn't expired or nothing. And even with the expiration, I think you should be allowed 30 to 60-day leeway window. So for people that don't have transportation or have a hard time getting down from the country to get to where you need to do that, or mail or whatnot. You know how mail is now. To get where they need to go to take care of that. Because some
And
people it's
and
hard.
even Montpelier has got to be like what, I don't know, at least an hour of driving for you, hour and a half maybe round trip.
Montpelier, no, it's like 30 minutes for me.
Oh, okay, that's not bad.
Yeah, I mean,
I thought it was
a
a little
couple
farther
hours
away.
I have to do stuff. What?
I thought it was a little farther away from Waitsfield. I may have miscalculated.
No, it's about what, 22 to 25 miles, something like that.
Okay, but still, it's
Yeah.
still an hour driving each time, right? If you got to go there and back.
Yeah, I usually plan on being gone 2 hours if I go out to Montpelier because I'm usually going just for pizza or to meet up with somebody.
Okay. Hmm.
Too much
Did you
traffic.
ever buy anything besides like any of the other products at the dispensaries?
Oh, sure. I tried their hash and I think I tried some gummies they tried to do or something like that. And the gummies had a weird taste to them. And well, I don't, the hash, it was terrible. Sorry.
How terrible? What does terrible hash look like?
All right. Well, the first time I got some from them, I literally had to pick it out of the little container it came in with like a little spoon type thing. I didn't have a dab tool at that time, so I'm like, and once I got out of there, it just started going like hot gum on a spoon. The gum's just gonna say. I'm like, all right, maybe it's real bubbly. Nope, wasn't real bubbly, and it wasn't any good. Um, I don't know how they got it to that point myself. I think it. I don't know where or how it could be done. I really don't know how you get it to that.
I've never seen hash do that either.
Yeah. Or the other side of it is it was so rock solid hard it would take a couple minutes of running the lighter over it to even get, and then it still would be hard and it would just flake off with the razor blade and still would be not good at all. And you're paying $50 a gram for this kind of stuff.
Like
So
before taxes.
yep.
Wow.
And then they tack on the extra. Go back to the flour for a minute. The flour was always being harvested premature, and somebody with knowledge would say, "Hey, your flour should really kind of get trichomes to be milky with some amber, at least a few ambers, anyways, mixed in somewheres here and there. The clear trichomes aren't the THC or whatever you've got in there inside the heads, THCA or CBD, CBG. It's not maturing. You got to be cloudy for it to be mature to it's gonna, be the optimal for, or even amber if you want a more of a knock you out at night effect. And I didn't find any of the flower coming from that dispensary was, you'd look at the trikes under a microscope thingy and I'm like, where's the cloudy ones? There's no cloudies here. So, I'm not want to knock a dispensary. I'm sure they were doing the best they could, I'm really just being honest. So
Yeah, and that's what we're looking for. And the number of stories that I've heard about the quality of products coming out of these medical dispensaries is really troubling. We're talking about serving people with serious medical conditions here, and you're serving them premature, sometimes moldy, overpriced herb that's just not good quality.
right, and you could tell if it had some mold issues because it would come right out in the smell. I didn't really find hardly any of that smell at first, but towards the end, I started to notice more and more.
So you did see some mold issues as well.
Towards the end, I could smell tints of it here and there. So, and you could walk in the door down there at different times. It was like, I don't know if they had it too humid and in the crevices where you couldn't get at behind the whiteboards or whatever they're using on their walls was collecting behind there, but it needs to say, I really don't know. So, but or it was the fact that it was right on top of the river and you're getting that coming up from the river too, the extra moisture. So
I mean, so as a medical patient, when you go there and you spend $400+ on an ounce and you get home and you start smoking it, how do you feel about that?
well, that's why I started growing for myself. I mean, who are you going to call, really?
Ghostbusters?
You take the chance of calling the dispensary, and they're either going to say, well, whatever, which is what they did to me because I called them out on the fact that you should do this with your hash, your flower should be this way, and they kind of, turn their nose up to the fact that, oh, you don't know what you're doing. We do this professionally, but
so you approach them with some of these issues.
Yeah, I mentioned it to one guy that I dealt with a lot. His name was, I think, Rick or something like that.
And that was their response, was you don't know what you're talking about.
Yep. For the most part, you could tell by the tone of their voice. They wouldn't outright come out and say, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. But you could tell the change in their tone. But, I don't want to sit here and oust a dispensary either.
No, and I don't either, man. But like, if that's what was really going on,
truth be told,
I think it's really a disgrace to a medical program that was supposed to be like a beacon of the United States here, where we had a yeah, right.
Yeah, I agree.
So now let's transition a little bit, and why don't you give me your thoughts on sort of this emerging retail market that we're looking at? I know you've had a lot to say about that, and how do you think that's going to compare to the medical program? And do you think the medical program will improve over time here in Vermont?
I think actually, to start with, I think the medical program, once recreational became legal and people could go elsewhere to find stuff instead of having to go to the dispensary, and really not have to worry about getting in trouble. I think the medical started to improve drastically at that point. And what was the part of your question again? Sorry. That's my brain at work right there.
Yeah, I don't remember. Let's just keep going. I'm having a stoner moment. I wanted to get your impressions of the medical program and see if it had improved at all over the last years and maybe...
Okay. I remember. I'm sorry to butt in on you then. I just
don't worry, please.
Yeah, you asked about what I think about the upcoming legal market.
Yes.
I'm all for it. I think it's going to be a good thing. I think it's going to help everybody in the long run because look at what's going on in other parts where people are taking this other crappy hard drug crap, what they call it, fentanyl, and they're throwing it in on their weed and shit. Who the hell does that? Only a retail market that's legal and monitored, so to speak, can provide the public with the safest product they can possibly get without having to go black market and worry about, okay, I got it from Joe Dingleberry down on the freaking corner. Oh, what's this white powder all over it? Maybe it's an additive that's going to make it better. Okay, I'll try it. And then 2 hits later, you're on the floor dead. No way. So I just don't like that part, and I think with the legal market, that's just going to make everything all the better for medical, recreational, first timers, experimenters, people who are not really sure but want to, just dip their toe in the water, which is where I think after the legal market opens up, I think little cafes should open up, like little wake and bake cafes, if you will. Go in,
Public,
have a
uh,
coffee,
like
blow.
like bars for weed.
Pretty much, yeah. Like to do coffee shops in Amsterdam.
Yep. I think that would be a huge market. And I think it would be, I think the fact that I also think we should just be able to go walk down by the lake in Burlington and smoke a joint, but public consumption is very frowned upon.
Right now it is, but once it becomes more mainstream than it is, and it's more accepted than it is, so to speak, right now. And once people finally realize that you can't OD on pot for crepe's sake unless it's been laced. So, you know, once everybody relaxes and we have that legal market and they see, it's helping other addicts come off of their stuff, and then they're benefiting from the medical side of whatever is in the cannabinoids that helps them. It just works all the way around.
And I've had so many friends that have told me that they've used cannabis to um, get over addictions from heroin or alcohol or various different drugs. And it's almost like, why have we deprived people of this for so long?
Right? I mean, it's been it's been a free thing since the age of time for the most part. And and it was up until somebody with the dumb bright idea back in the early 1900s decided to come up with some prohibition crap, you know, which was an infringement on everybody's rights right from the start, no matter who you are or where you're from. And then it went to liquor, and then okay, liquor got released again. So okay, they let liquor back in the market. Okay, you want a bunch of liver infected drunks walking around the country, or worse, driving on roads with horse and buggies and ended up in the river. And then okay, we got cars now. Yeehaw, we can go 100 miles an hour and freaking be toasted. No way. They should have brought the weed back at the same time they let liquor come back.
Mm.
That's my
I
opinion.
I agree with you, Jimmy. I think that's a good opinion. Now let me ask you this: Have you are you interested in getting into the legal market?
Oh, I plan on it one way or the other somehow. Um, and I look forward to it. It's just right now with I can't handle business type things. It just because they confuse me. I don't understand that portion of it, where paperwork and all this and that and the other stuff is involved. Um, I can't handle that. I get very confused. And when I get confused, I get very frustrated right away. And then I have an anxiety attack or something to that nature. It happened when I did the closing on our house that we're going to be building. So, I had to sit there and take deep breaths all through that because I didn't understand the language, and I had to remain calm because I didn't want to freak the lawyer out.
So stuff like that sort of overwhelms your senses in a way.
Yep. So, and so what I'm doing, I'm kind of sitting back and waiting for the dust to settle, so to speak, where more people that I know or get to know and make friends with, or have associations with business wise and that kind of thing, can possibly help me weed through that.
Weed through
So
that. No pun intended. Oh wait, weave.
yeah.
Maybe I misheard you there.
Nope, you heard me correct.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
So yeah, I'm just trying to bide my time so that it's at least possible aggravation for me, so to speak, as far as the paperwork side goes through. Because I know with certain aspects of my life being a dumbass when I was younger, and I'm gonna have to step through a couple extra hoops. So, and I'm not worried about that. So,
And I think we were all dumbasses when we were younger, though.
Yep. I'd say
I
so.
know I was.
Yeah, there's there's stunts, but and then there's those stupid ass things that happen that hurt other people. So you know I'm not going to go into it, but I had an incident like that in my life I'm not happy about, and I paid my dues, and I came out on top, a better person from it. I mean, I have one of the best friends I've ever known in the country, in the world. He goes by the name of Billy Greer. I met him on my way out, and we've been buds ever since. I mean, best friends, where I can literally, I'll send him a text and he'll give me a pep talk, or he'll talk me out of, you know, thinking back. I'm not thinking, not stinking thinking where you're thinking of committing a crime or anything, but when I get depressed type shit, I'm not a criminal. So
Now, can we talk about Billy for a minute, because that's
sure.
a big part of my life has been that story that involved my dad in that bust with Billy.
Yep,
And
I
I
know
see
the
I
whole.
see you getting a little emotional there, just thinking about it.
Yep.
Could you elaborate on that a little bit, please?
Um, Help me out a little bit with what you would like me to.
Well, you said he was one of your best friends, and I see
Oh
you
yeah.
getting emotional. And so, how did you guys become so close?
Okay. Well, I was doing work release at the end of my time, and I was chefing, or I don't know what they call it. I was sandwich dessert chef for Sweetwater's in Burlington.
Okay.
So I was on my way out, and was in the community section of the facility, and he had just gotten brought in to get transferred to feds. And we ended up being roommates for, I don't know, maybe 3 months, maybe 4 months, something like that. And then he was gone to feds, and I think I was out on um, parole or probation shortly after that. So um, in those months, we talked about a lot of shit. He told me about everything, and I told him about my thing and what happened, and the fact that um, it was an accident, and I'm not the person I was made out to be, and he totally understood that, and we got along great, and became friends.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but that was early '90s.
91, 91, 92 area. I went in, and that would have been 93-ish, 94-ish when I met him.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Yep, that checks out. I remember it well. I had to
um
watch my dad get dragged away by the feds on the Channel 3 News when I was 7.
that had to suck.
It wasn't awesome.
No. Then my family and my son Chris had to see me on TV all the whole time for what I got. You know, for lack of wanting to tell the story, I was arrested in 1991 for supposedly throwing a tire iron through a car window and hitting a person in the head and causing his death. Um, his name was Rob Landry, and I'm sorry if anybody that knows or anything of that side of that family. I'm sorry that it happened. I don't. I need to say this without judgment, but honestly, to this day, I don't know if it's anything I actually did or if it was the passenger in my van when he threw his tire iron out his window on Bolton Flats. There's That question has never been answered, but it was sort of answered when I worked for Bolton Valley, and a guy named George Estes approached me, who knows the family. And while I was working one night on his lift, he told me, everybody pretty much knows it wasn't you, meaning him and whoever else he was talking about. Uh, they know it came out of the passenger side window. So at that point, I became real suspicious as whether I was charged correctly or not. But I've never done anything about it, and I'm not ever going to do anything about it because, for the simple fact, I'm not going to drag that family through another pile of horse shit like they had to go through to begin with that should have never happened in the first place.
Just, Jimmy, I didn't. It sounded like you didn't want to share that story, and I wasn't trying to push you into sharing it. But thank you for sharing. I'm sure
I don't have,
that must have been a tough point in your life, man.
I'm at a point in my life where I don't have any secrets from anybody. I made mistakes when I was younger. I paid my dues. I did whatever this state's piddly ass little programs they had at the time, which were meaningless. Basically, they tried to brainwash you into thinking like they wanted you to think and wouldn't let you, I did their programs 3 times before I started teaching it from across the table at the same time the teacher was teaching it, and they kicked me out of it. So, I mean, I've had brain injuries and I've had issues and I've made mistakes, but I'm very intelligent and I know how to not make the same mistakes twice. So, yeah, I
Now,
really didn't want to go into that, but like I said, I don't have any secrets.
I didn't
I
want you
want
to go into that either, and I don't want you to feel like I was leading you into that because I was specifically trying to stay away from it. But I
no, it's all
appreciate the
good.
fact that you were willing to share with us.
I'm sure I'll probably lose some likes or followers because of that story, but if that's the case, and so be it. I have big shoulders,
Hmm.
so.
Now, since you've been out of jail, have you reconnected with Billy or stayed in touch with him?
Well, it's funny you asked it that way because I really didn't know he was living near me until like 3 years ago.
No shit.
Really, I had no clue. And all of a sudden, this guy calls me up and wants something fixed because I do small engine repair too.
Ah,
As long with I pretty much fix everything. So, well, Billy calls me up out of the blue. I didn't even know it was him until I got to his house to fix his lawnmower and sharpen the blades or something like that. And I got out of the truck and I see this white haired dude come walking out the door of the house. And I'm thinking and here, I don't have, my memory sucks. Okay. So you have to remember, but yet I'm like, I looked at him for maybe 5 seconds. So I said, Billy, and he cracked a big old,
wow.
yep.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
He probably recognized you immediately, huh?
Yeah. Surprising, even without hair.
Did you have hair before, Jimmy?
Oh, I was down to my shoulders pretty much. But then it grew way back and fell out. So
Now, is Billy going to jump in on the legal market here?
I believe so.
Now, and I feel like he, in a way, he's sort of a local legend.
Yep.
They kind of wrote about that like a folk story.
Yeah, I think that there might be a story coming. I'm not sure.
They already wrote a book. It's called Hashtag, and it was written by a guy who used to write for the Burlington Free Press.
Right on. I haven't read that then.
You know what? I'll bring you a copy, Jimmy.
Right on. I appreciate that.
He's not a good writer, but I only read it because it was about my dad and this whole, well, it was more about Billy than my dad, but my dad was a sub character.
Yeah, your dad loved or Billy loved your dad. I know they were great friends.
I would assume so.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you about this new market that we're going into. I know you've had a number of comments about THC caps and things of that nature. Now, one question I've been asking a lot of people was like, if you could have formed this market yourself or written the legislation, what would you leave out from what they've done? And what would you change or what would you add?
Well, let me start with what I would not have in there or leave out per se. The fact that they're trying to trying to mess with packaging. Okay. So what if it's got a nice package and it looks colorful? And so people are expressing their artistic side along with their cultivating side or their baking side or their concentrate side, like myself. Big deal. Plain packaging doesn't sell anything. Okay, so that's just one little thing. The level issue. I mean, come on. Try and regulate levels is why the prescription drug markets don't do it. You don't. Sure, the doctors do. They give you a certain milligram. Okay, but sure, that maybe the bud tender should have. Okay, low dose mean not as potent. Mid dose a little more potent. All the way up to your couch lock falling asleep in 30 minutes type shit or less. It should be looked at like that, not trying to regulate or try to make people have to buy thousands of dollars worth of freaking scientific specialistic equipment so they can have their doses consistently at a certain percentage because somebody wherever said, oh, we need to regulate the levels, THC levels or whatnot. I don't agree
So
with
you
that.
think that should rest on the retail end and not on the legislature? You think retailers should be allowed to make that call for their customers, as
Right.
opposed to some people in Montpelier saying this is the top of the line right here, and everything has to be under that.
Exactly. And I think the bud tender in a retail market, well, should know what they're dealing with as far as what each strain they're handing out per, say, whether it's flour, concentrate, or whatever's in the edible as far as milligram weight. They should be able to determine that by just asking a couple questions: as how frequent of a user are you? Is this your first time? Or are you just testing the waters, experimenting? Or do you use daily heavily? And then, someone like myself who smokes constantly all the time, when don't you see not a pipe in my hand? Well, when I'm working, of course, but um, you know, I regulate my own, and you
And you're
can't
still alive, Jimmy.
you can't OD from this stuff. Believe me, I've tried. I run out of money before I can finish. Which is
You
the
know,
other reason I grow my own.
and do you have plants in the ground right now, Jimmy?
I got a few.
Yeah. How are they doing?
Well, if I could pick this computer up and show you, I would do it. But if I
What
unplug it, it'll die.
what type of cultivation techniques do you use?
I pretty much grew up on farm. When we moved back to the country in New York, when I was talking about Oneonta Garrettsville area, I went to work for the farmer up the road, and I pretty much just make rows, throw cow shit in them, use all natural. I think I use Roots organic supplements, to just a microbe to boost the nutrient uptake from the natural soil that it already has. And maybe right before flowering, I'll give it some Roots flower booster. Other than that, it's just all natural dirt and wood chips and compost, and that's it.
You got a compost going?
Yep, I just actually built a bigger one yesterday, so I'm waiting to see if the bears will like it. Well, then they'll leave my trash can alone.
You got some bear problems out there?
Well, let's put it this way. We used to have target practice with the black powder 45 cal, and the bear would show up in the middle of the night. We'd shoot the can and it would scare them away, and the bang would keep them away for a few days. They got smart to that.
Let me ask you about this, Jimmy, because this has been a big issue, is the gun rights. Because under the Schedule 1 rules, if you have a Schedule 1 controlled substance and a firearm, you could be facing federal charges. What are your thoughts on gun rights? Some people have asked me if they're going to be able to defend their dispensaries with an armed security guard. It seems like no one's going to be allowed to carry a gun. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I feel, the Second Amendment's the Second Amendment. Leave it alone. Don't infringe. That's what I have to say about most of that. But at the same time, do you really want to shoot somebody? I don't. I don't have any firearms. So, I mean, hell, I traded my black powder pistol that we played with the bear with to my nephew for a box, friggin' four-wheeler in a box that I rebuilt. So,
you got a four-wheeler for a gun?
Yep.
Yeah, I got a couple I'm trying to get rid of.
Yeah,
maybe I could get a four-wheeler. Boy, all right. So, and the THC caps are insane. I just want to say that.
Yeah,
I'm not supposed to interject my opinion, but it seems like you're now punishing people who make a more pure product.
Yeah, I mean, really, it kind of does. I mean, especially the organic guy, the one that doesn't want to. And I don't know how would you friggin' control the THC level of a plant if they try to make us do that. I don't know how to do that.
Well, I don't know how to do that, but I know how to so like for vape carts, they've been doing a CBD oil blend to bring the THC content down.
Okay.
But again, it's like now you have to have CBD oil on top of that, which is an extra expense for the business owner. And it's an extra, now you have to have a concoction of something that was very pure before.
Right. I kind of agree because, or that farmer or grower per se, he's going to have to split his crop in half and grow his own CBD and then go and invest in special equipment to convert it all from plant form into.
Well, I think the growers could sell that off to maybe a manufacturing lab.
That too.
But that's a good point. They may have to also grow CBD because otherwise you're going to have to buy someone else's CBD oil. And now that's another expensive cost for you.
That's going up. And more popular.
It's going up because of these THC caps. Because people are now going to have to water down their fucking concentrates to meet the state standards.
Exactly.
Although I believe the liquid concentrate cap has been lifted. And I've heard that the two people that were holding up the THC caps are not up for re-election. They're retiring. So maybe we'll see. Yeah, maybe we'll see some movement on that. And because of all the complaints I've heard, that's been the number one, the THC caps.
Right on. And I think that's everybody's big thing, aside from the hold up on getting everything going, But I mean, let's give some credit where credit's due. Those people in the board have been doing a good job. They really put their noses to the grindstone the last however many weeks, and you got to applaud them for however many licenses and approvals and whatnot there is out there right now. That for 6 months ago, or what was it, 3-4 months ago? What was there? Maybe a couple. Now there's over 100.
Yeah, I think they started with like 6 or 7. And then it was like,
I think that deserves big kudos.
Yeah. And I've had my complaints about the board and things like that, but when I talk to them, they do seem like really nice people.
Yep, exactly.
And honestly, I feel like I have a new appreciation for what they've been doing after what I've been doing, because the amount of information that they're processing is really overwhelming.
I mean, could you imagine?
No, and I've told Julie and Kyle, I'm glad that I don't have your job, because it looks miserable.
And then they've got phones and stuff. Maybe they're answering phones too to answer questions. I mean, yeah, you got phone in this hand, phone in this hand. And what are you writing with? Trying to write with your toes or something to sign people's approvals? I mean, yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I know I wouldn't work. I couldn't do it.
No. And that's why I don't work in the government. This shit's overwhelming and I don't understand it.
I'd be a super secret spy maybe, but
No, they wouldn't allow me in there. I'm too
No, I
honest.
don't think me either. Yeah, he's too secret. We don't want him. He'll
I
he'll
have
fish us out of everything.
I have too many opinions, and they would hold everything up.
Yeah, I'm too unauthoritative, so I would question everything. So
Uh, now, let me ask you: when October 1st comes, are you going to be shopping at some of these retail dispensaries?
sure, I'm going to be shopping. I'm going to be checking them out, see what they got, see, because I'm always looking for an indica that blows my socks away. So, and I'm on the search for one right now.
Do
Because
you have any people in Vermont that you think we should look out for? Any growers that are super hot, or anybody that we should be having on our radar?
oh sure, I'm wearing his hat right now. The Cannabis Collective
And that's Chris Morrock, right?
up and yep, he's
Yeah,
awesome.
Chris is a good man.
Yep, and wicked good. Those guys are. I mean, they know what they're doing. They're knowledgeable. I mean, they're pleasurable people to talk to and to hang out with, and they just know how to grow some good product.
Hmm.
Nothing but fine things to say, as well as I do Forbin's finest. Nick and his people, got to hand it to them. I've had some samples, and honestly, I was amazed, and I'm like, wow, this is coming out of Vermont. I can't believe it.
Some of the finest herb I've ever smoked has come from
Yeah,
Nick.
and let's throw some out to higher elevation too, because those guys sure do a good job too. I mean, I met some of them at what was it there at the Lang Farm, the Hetty Cup. Tried a few gummies they had going on there. I liked those. Was
They
all
were
those were
they were my first guests, Jimmy.
right on. You know, and before all this, I met Kelly Green Queen Candies, and her and Chris are, they're two of the nicest people I know at this time, along with TJ. TJ's the grower that is part of their
Yeah, we met.
business up there. Um, and she makes some of the most delicious things I've tasted, you
Hmm.
know. And we're on edibles, there's Green Mountain Munchies, Jamie Lee and Jesse down south.
Yeah.
Oh my God, she whips up a batch of some badass treats. I mean, her and Kelly, I always thought they should team up, and you know, I think they could corner the market, so to speak. And then let me throw in the Baked Gallery also.
Shauna.
I got to give shout out to Shauna. Shauna's hooked me up a couple times with some samples to try out, and I've been nothing but pleased with those. Super delicious, and she's super nice to deal with and very down to earth. Got to send kudos out to all the ladies.
I got some Shauna edibles in my fridge right now.
Nice. I
She
think I got a brownie of Kelly's left from the other day.
let me ask you, how many edibles do you think you eat in a day to help you with your health problems? Milligram wise.
Well, I've known to go up to 500 at a sitting.
One dose.
Yep.
And how many times per day? Like, what would you say your average intake is of edibles per
Probably
day?
1,500 a day if I have it.
Wow. And you're still functional.
Yep. My tolerance is through the roof. So when I say I'm in the market for super potent indica that's going to put me to sleep, it's got to come correct.
And is that why you is that an effect you're looking for? Like go to bed at night or wake up in the morning, or how do you source different types of products for different needs?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So the way my metabolism works, I have certain strains or indica sativa hybrids or a sativa or an indica that I designate for certain issues that I have. Okay. So like the why I want the indica to knock me out, so kind of like a diazepam or a Valium would do. Okay, that
Mhm.
alleviates the diazepam, the Valium out of my food chain. Okay, they tried to prescribe that to me back when Doc first was doing my head stuff. when I got with Dr. Matthews in Plainfield. They put me on that and seizure medications and I was at 13 different medications at one time. So, and you did ask about medications back in the beginning. Yeah, I take one medication now. That's for stomach acid stuff that happened from the accident, having a ruptured stomach. It's never healed right, and I constantly deal with heartburn. So
some kind of Zantac or something like that.
Nope. I outgrew those to the point where they wouldn't work on me. So I have prescription omeprazole now or something like that.
Okay.
So anyways, back to the strain review on Indica sativa. So yeah, that works. The indica, heavy duty indicas that I try to get work like a Valium for me. So like if I'm going to have an anxiety attack or I can't sleep at night, I'll go rush out and grab a few bangs of whatever indica that I've got and wait a few minutes and I'll go back to an even keel again. Do
you get anxiety attacks a lot?
Not as much as some, but not few. So it's kind of in the middle somewhere. And when I get an anxiety attack, it kind of comes out more as frustration and aggravation. And people sometimes will misconstrue that for anger, which it's not. It's more me feeling like I'm lost inside and I don't know what's going on. And when that happens, it's like fight or flight type thing in your brain, so to speak. So you're either clawing to find out what, or you've figured you can't find out what, and you're worrying about the outcome of what you can't figure out. So, and then it just snowballs from there and you develop scenarios over here, scenarios over there, and it just gets weird and it makes me shake and feel like I'm on a bender or something.
Relatable.
Yeah. So I really haven't figured out a way to describe it though.
I thought that was a solid way to describe it right there, Jimmy.
Cool.
Yeah, that's, I've had a couple panic attacks and it's very much like that. Where it's like I'm in a fight, but no one's fighting me. I'm just kind of fighting myself.
Right.
Yeah. Interesting
point.
If
you don't mind, but I'm going to grab a hit off this big green fucker.
I'm going to tell you, Jimmy, I was about to wrap this up and I was hoping you would think of some final thoughts, maybe on this market, maybe on what you're going to be doing. And I like to give my guests the last shake here. So, damn, I got to get one of those. Shit.
So my last thoughts on everything. The legal market is a good thing, and everybody in the legal market we should all be in our own group. Everybody, not this clique here, that clique there, that clique over there, not different cliques at each other's throats over whatever they get at each other over.
Dumb shit. It's usually dumb shit.
Pretty much. We'll call it like it could be or is for the, dumb shit. So rise above that. We're all supposed to be a family. We all came together for this market. We're all coming together to make this market work. We're supposed to be a family. Let's all start acting like it, for Christ's sake. That's where I'm at with that.
Jimmy, I think that's a great note to leave this on. I think we should wrap it right there.
Cheers.
Cool. Jimmy Darrow, Mad River Hash Company, thank you so much for your time, Jimmy. I'm glad we finally got to do this, and I'm still going to come out there to see you sometime very soon.
Sure, man. Got to get out here before snow comes. I'll put you on my four-wheeler.
I will. Thanks, man.
Thanks,
Take
man.
care of yourself. I'll post this up by the end of the day here.
And hi to everybody. I'm sorry if I forgot to mention anybody. That's my brain.